everybody. Welcome to Moment of Presence with Michelle, Moksha Grace Coaching, and the always lovely
Krista of Wicked Wisdom Consulting.
How are you today?
Oh, and Chippendale.
Chippendale. Gotta love Chippendale. Love it. How do you tell the difference between Chip and Dale?
I know.
Go ahead.
Chip has a little black nose like a chocolate chip.
Oh my gosh. Really?
Mm-hmm. You told me that years ago. That's probably why I love them so much, because it's chocolate chips. But anyway.
Yeah, exactly. Awesome. So I am Michelle with Moksha Grace Coaching, and I coach on emotional liberation. What does that mean? That means that I help clients learn to acknowledge, accept, and integrate their emotions, learning how to manage them so that they can respond versus react in situations where they are triggered or something upsets them. It is not a perfect practice, but when you get really good at it, as I told a client last night, you can turn on a dime or you can turn on a dollar. But when we get really, really good at it, we turn on a dime and we can take a deep breath and respond. I love deep breaths.
Me too. They feel
Who
great.
are you and what do you do?
Oh, my name is Krista Barone of Wicked Wisdom Consulting. I am a fractional COO and ops consultant, and I am guest co-host of Moment of Presence and co-host of Shockingly Delightful on Mondays.
Yes.
Yeah.
And today we are talking about traditions.
Yeah. And if you're joining us, put your name in the chat. Let us know that you're here, and definitely join in the conversation, because today's all about holidays.
Yes. If we have enough people commenting, we actually put the comments up, which is super, super fun. So let us know where you're from, who you are, and definitely share out to anyone that you think would benefit from these lovely conversations.
All right.
Traditions. So this is about that good old saying, but we've always done it that way.
Mm-hmm.
But we've always had that.
But we've always made green bean casserole. But we've always had sweet potato casserole. But we've always had a turkey and ham.
We've always
And
stuffed the
stuffing.
turkey, which I gave up that tradition a long time ago, actually.
Yeah.
That was one of the first ones to go.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the turkey takes longer, and there's a chance that, believe it or not, that if you don't cook the turkey long enough and therefore the stuffing doesn't get cooked long enough, that there's a potential risk for, your guest getting ill. And I just never wanted to run that risk.
I feel like more importantly is we fry our turkey, so that kind of rules out the ability to do a stuffed turkey.
And that was another tradition that we broke, because we used to roast our turkey. And now part of that I still keep, because I get a small turkey, stick that in the oven.
We get a small turkey and I stick it in the oven. You prep the frying turkey.
Because how else do you make gravy if you're frying a turkey?
Well, how else do you get your house to smell like delicious turkey? Because you better not be frying a turkey in the house. That's asking for problems.
Exactly. So you want to make sure that, you think about that. And the first year I remember going, oh my God, how are we going to have gravy? And I think I went out and bought a chicken because it was too late to get a turkey. And then I just made gravy from that. And then every year since then, we used to get, when we did Thanksgiving at the hospital, we used to get
next week
3 turkeys or 4 turkeys. Hi, Adam. How are
Adam.
you?
Well, I guess it would be technically 4. We made 3 of them, and a friend of ours made the 4th, because we just didn't have the oven space.
Right. Yeah.
Or
So
no, I'm sorry, no, it was 3 because we would keep the gravy that came from the second turkey, and then she would cook the third. That's what it
good
was.
point.
Yeah.
Good point. Yeah. So yeah, I can't believe that Thanksgiving is it a week away?
It's more like 2 weeks
It
because it's
is two
not
weeks?
next week, it's the week after.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, actually, it's Thursday. It's exactly 2 weeks away.
Okay, good. Whew.
I
I
know.
mean, time is flying, and so I'm just like, all I know is I ordered the turkey. The turkey has been ordered, so cool. Um, so what are your thoughts on traditions keeping or doing away with?
I think my thought on it is, so today's topic is burdened by traditions. We reference being shackled by traditions in the description, and I feel like the point in which a tradition becomes a shackle, becomes something that's holding you back, is when you're doing it strictly out of obligation or
Mm,
strictly out of habit. So, like something like green bean casserole, we're not making that this year because is it okay? Yeah, it's tasty-ish. But like none of us are like, yeah, that's delicious. Like we can't wait to have it. So like something like that, we literally have been making for my entire life simply because we always did.
right.
You know, for years I'm sure we had a football game on because we always did. We
Hmm.
invited the same people to a certain extent because we always did.
Right.
And so, you know, we've lost a few family members this year, and so our table is going to look very different, but it also became a catalyst of looking at our holidays and going, okay, what are the pieces of our holidays that are important to us? And which are the pieces that, you know what, maybe we'll change that up this year. So,
Yeah.
like our Thanksgiving menu, there's some staples that are totally the same, but we've thrown in some wild card this year.
Yeah.
Um, and we've collaborated as a family of that. And we literally, you know, I sent out a text and said, what is everyone's must have on the table? And what do you know? There were a few things that nobody mentioned. But there
Hmm.
were some new things that were like, well, you know, I've always really wanted to do this.
Hmm.
Do it. Let's add it in. Let's try it. Let's see if it fits.
Yeah.
So circling back to your original question, I think it's when it feels like something is done out of obligation, guilt, or habit that it's time to just take a look and go, is this really still serving me? Is this still serving the family? You know, is there something we'd rather be doing?
Yeah. And I think, that's so important, the obligation part. And, you know, the big clue to that, and this is for anything,
Hmm.
is when the word should comes into it.
Yeah.
Should or have to.
Yeah.
Do you really?
I
There's no
mean, listen,
rules, there's no law here.
I remember the last few years, I remember bringing up the last couple Thanksgiving, like, do we really need green bean casserole? And I remember this response was, oh no, you know, Yaya loves that. You can't take that off the table. That
Right.
she'd go nuts if we didn't make that. And that's fine. She was still here with us. Absolutely. We want everyone to be included. But
Mhm.
now that she's not, do we really need it there?
I will say that my must have is I have to have my crispy onions,
That's fine, but I'm gonna make sauteed green beans with garlic, and
which
then you
is
can
much
sprinkle your,
healthier.
which is, well, it's also just more aligned with the way that we're eating. You know, a lot of the Thanksgiving foods, they're not exactly healthy. I mean, how many carbs go on a Thanksgiving table? And this isn't about to be a health podcast,
Oh.
but let's count it out real quick. So typically you've got stuffing,
Hmm.
bread based, mashed potatoes, white potato based, sweet potato casserole, sweet potato based, rolls, bread, um, the desserts, everything's carbohydrate there.
Right.
And then you got the turkey with the tryptophan to just seal it with a nice bow. No wonder no one can stay up late on Thanksgiving.
Right. And everyone falls asleep at when we watch the movie afterwards,
Yeah,
usually the Christmas movie.
right.
Now, there are some traditions that bring us joy, like
Absolutely.
watching the parade, the Thanksgiving
Even
Day parade, the Macy's Thanksgiving Day parade,
even
even
though
though
we don't know who half the people are that are on it.
we have no clue.
The last few years we've watched it going, what
What?
is that performance? What was that? But look, it's even making us chuckle now.
But we get to see the Rockettes,
Yep.
And we get to see, of course, Santa, which is
Say
the
Santa.
oh my
Hello.
gosh, hello. And last year, if you remember, we stood in front of the TV,
Hmm.
all three of us,
Yeah.
Pops, you and me, crying
Yeah.
over the St. Jude's commercial because they have now gotten the neuroblastoma rate of
Survival rate.
treatment and, yeah, survival rate, thank you, down
Like,
to,
isn't like 80% or
right. Yeah,
90%,
up
something
to,
like that, which
sorry.
is wild because if you know my story, you know that I had a 3%, 4%, 3% chance of
Yeah,
4% chance of survival. 3 or 4. I don't remember right this second. But either way, much different now today. I was on a
yeah,
treatment trial that wasn't even like no one knew if it was going to work.
yeah,
And now you have kids that are surviving 80, 90, 95, I don't remember what the exact number was, percent of the time.
yeah.
That is insane.
And I'm going to say that we take a moment right now and take a couple deep breaths and just really like let that sink in.
Hmm.
Like, because you were on that trial,
Hmm.
you were kind of a guinea pig. Uh, we put you on that trial because we had to. That was the only treatment out there.
Hmm.
And they learned from you. So I'm going to be grateful for that.
Going to make me cry today? Is
No.
that what I'm here for?
So let's take a deep breath in and be thankful for innovation. And just relax and let that out. And take a deep breath or a yawn in. And be grateful for health,
Yeah.
joy, being together. And let that out. And then take one more deep breath in. And just bring yourself into the moment. What's around you? How do you feel? How's it going for you today? Just exhale. And let us know in the chat. Like, how do you feel? What are you grateful for? Because we're 2 weeks away. And if you haven't gone over to, the Facebook group, I've been doing the Thankful Train now for 14 days.
Yep. You
And
did a
it's
poll
been,
this morning.
I did. I was like,
That
you
was
know what?
fun.
Maybe this will be easier for people to interact with, and all they have to do is like click a button versus make a comment. So there was, I put a poll in there. Uh, and what was it? Was are you more thankful for a childhood memory, an adult
Mhm.
memory, or something that you're going to manifest in the future that you're looking forward to?
Yeah.
So yeah, that was a fun poll today. So go on over to the Facebook community and
Wow.
join.
And today is hit, the answer today has 80 votes. Or not 80 votes, 80% of the votes right now.
Mm,
Yeah.
for which one?
Today.
For
Yeah,
being
today is
thankful
the
for
answer that
today.
has 80%
Oh,
of the votes. Yeah.
well, that's good. That means people are being in the moment.
Yes.
So, the whole thing about being in the moment is looking around you and what is going to fit where you are and who you are right now.
Hmm.
Not who you've been in the past, not who you're going to be in the future, but who are you right now? Who is your family right now?
Hmm.
What is happening in your family? What makes sense for you
Hmm.
in the moment right now?
Hmm.
And that's how you bring together the moment of presence, and you bring in those traditions because they bring you joy.
Yeah.
But if they don't bring you joy and they feel like a burden or baggage on your back, then why are you still doing them?
Hmm.
And this goes with any limiting belief, really. Why are you still thinking that way? Why are you still believing in certain things if it's no longer the truth?
Yeah. Well, and I mean, I think that permeates into a lot of our lives is we get in the habit of believing certain things or subscribing to certain ideals and thoughts,
Mhm.
and we kind of get stuck there until something kind of shakes us up and makes us take a look at it. And I think there's really something to be said about checking in with those around you and seeing like we see it all the time with kids and stuff where it's like the kid finally, after years, gets the courage to be like, Mom, I really don't enjoy this activity that we're doing. I haven't enjoyed it in 10 years, but we still do it. And it's like, okay, maybe we should have checked in to see, like, are we still enjoying that part of the holiday or just everyday life or
Right.
the summer or whatever it is. Um, because I think that's very healthy.
Yeah.
And I think it makes relationships stronger.
Hmm.
Um, and I think it gets rid of a lot of empty space that becomes potentially has the potential to become resentment, has the potential to become um,
Forced.
annoyance, forced. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things that can happen in between in the space between asking and not asking,
Yeah.
and taking
Well,
stock and checking in.
and I think that's a good point, is the checking in,
Hmm.
because every day we're changing. And so our who we are, our ideals, our thoughts, our dreams, our wishes, whatever, they're all changing. And so if we're changing, wouldn't it be nice if we cared enough about each other to see how people are changing, see
Hmm.
what is interesting, to them now versus before? Um, and that's, that how many people are still, I'm going to throw this out there, like quilting, but they don't like quilting, and they're doing it because they've always done it or their grandmother did it. And
Hmm.
so they feel like they have to carry on that tradition. You don't.
Yeah.
You can do something else. You can morph it into what fits you.
Here's another one. When we have loved ones that pass, what typically happens? Usually it's if it's not a big family, usually one person or two people absorb all of their belongings. And now there's all of a sudden this pressure of, well, I have to use their ceramic dishes for the holidays. Well, I have to use their decorations now. Or I
Hmm.
have to use their silverware or their cutlery or their cups or mugs, whatever it is. And now it becomes this thing where if you don't use it, somehow you're disrespecting their memory. And so now you're stuck in this trap of, well, I can no longer buy anything new or use anything different because I have to use this deceased family member's things. And or
I don't
I
have
can't get
room.
rid of them because it was important to them. And then sooner or later, which we've experienced, after enough people pass away, you sort of look around and go, well, shit, I've got too much stuff now. Well, shit,
Hmm.
who takes priority here?
Right.
Which family member's stuff do I use? And again, it gets you to a point. It's a catalyst for you then to look around and go, okay, wait, what are the things that I actually enjoy?
Hmm.
What are the things that actually are important to me? What do I actually want to keep? What will I actually use?
Right.
And so, you don't have to wait for something to be a catalyst for you to do that. You can just
Yeah.
check in all the time.
Is it easier to use paper plates for Thanksgiving? Well, yes, but
Listen, if you've got a big listen, I've heard of some people's Thanksgivings where literally you don't even have a table set because there's too many people there.
yeah.
Use your paper plates.
Well, and I honestly, I can't even fathom that, because it's like, how do you cut your turkey if you don't have a place to sit and you're
It's
trying to
basically
cut it
think of
on
like
your lap?
you basically think you cut everything and have it in like the aluminum trays, and you literally have
Hmm.
like hot plates out.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
kind of treat it as like a party.
Well, and I think there's been times in the past where we've set the table, but then had the buffet kind of set up, the food all set
Mhm.
up on the island in
Yeah,
the kitchen, and then everyone goes around, makes their plates, and then sits down, and oh my gosh, there's so much more room on the table.
yeah,
And it's so nice because everything's open, and then if you want something, I mean, then you have to get up, and sometimes you got to squeeze in between everyone to go over and get stuff. Um but try different things, see what fits for, you know, whoever you're having over. And, something that I want to definitely make sure that we put out there is, there's a lot of people that are losing people,
hmm
um, that are passing away.
How
And
about there's a lot of people that no longer have a spot at a Thanksgiving table because of the election results, which is a really sad outcome. That
right?
there's people that are being shunned from their family for
Yeah.
their political thoughts and
Yeah.
political opinions. Um, to those people, I say, hang in there. Those that are being shunned, the people who are doing the shunning,
Stop it.
get a grip,
Stop
tighten up.
it.
This is family that we're talking about. Um, so
Humans
it's
behave
not just
invalidly.
about death.
Right.
There can be different Thanksgiving, Christmas tables for a lot of reasons, Hanukkah tables for a lot of reasons.
And one of the old traditions that I had that my mom and I started years ago was because we were the misfits, is we would invite people over that had nowhere else to go. And it made our table so much more, I don't know, it was
Colorful.
just colorful and festive and interesting because then there were people around the table that you didn't normally have at your table.
Yeah.
And so if
Real
there's
quick, I don't mean colorful as in skin tone. I mean colorful as in personalities. Just want to make that clear.
um if there's a veteran that you know that has nowhere to go, if there's an older um friend of the family and they have nowhere to go, invite them over.
Yeah.
It doesn't have, family is who you say it is. It doesn't
Hmm.
have to be just blood related. And
Yeah.
so, there was always that, when I was growing up, there was always that thing where like, hey, yeah, if someone's going to be alone, bring them home. Bring that person home for Thanksgiving. And if you need a catalyst for that or some inspiration, go watch Son-in-Law.
Oh my God, we've got to watch that this week. That is such a good movie.
And it's so funny because every year we're like, what is a Thanksgiving movie? There's no Thanksgiving movies. And
There
then
is.
we're
It's
like,
called Son-in-Law.
Son-in-Law. And it's so much fun. And personally, I
If
think
you
it's
think about it,
why we have a farm.
the Santa Claus is also sort of a Thanksgiving movie because they do show a Thanksgiving meal. So
What Thanksgiving meal do they show?
when Scott Calvin is walking by Laura's house and he looks in and they're carving a turkey on Thanksgiving because Bernard tells him you're
Oh,
due back Thanksgiving. So he
that's
goes in to say
right.
goodbye to Charlie, but that's when he abducts him.
Yes, 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 yes. That's
And
true.
that's Thanksgiving. So
I forgot
technically,
about that. I
hmm
never realized that.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely time to get the trees out. It's time to start thinking about decorating. Uh, that is something that we also changed. Was
Yeah.
we started decorating earlier for the big holiday, Christmas, and getting the tree out and having it up for Thanksgiving.
Hmm.
It just makes everything so festive.
Well, we actually did that for the first time. We did, usually what we used to do is the weekend after Thanksgiving, we would take the tree out. And
Hmm.
last year was the first year that we did it like the second week in November. And it was such a joy to
Hmm.
have the Christmas tree up. And everyone that came to Thanksgiving was like, oh my God, I'm so glad you have your tree up. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Um, the other thing I want to touch on too, we briefly mentioned it in the description, is how do you make these changes when you do have a decent sized table? When you do have like people coming, how do you make those changes when people are used to what you've been doing?
I think just like we had talked about and that you sent out that text and said what are your musts,
Hmm.
right? What are your must haves? What is it that you absolutely have to do, or what is the most important thing?
Hmm.
And then that way you bring in the most important piece for everybody. You can't make everyone happy. And I mean, how many times have I said, can we please get rid of the mashed potatoes? And it's like, oh my God, no. My son will have a cow, literally. But it's like, oh my gosh, we have the sweet potatoes, we have all these other things. Like, do we really need the mashed potatoes? Um, so I think you do need to take other people's, what's important to them, into consideration, the meaning that it holds for them, and take that into consideration when you're making the decisions.
Hmm.
And then and then create some fun too. I'm sure everybody is probably sick of the, okay, let's go around the table and say what we're thankful for this
Well,
year.
we changed that up last year, but hold on. Before we get into that, I want to finish talking about this piece because I have some things that I want to add to it.
Yes,
Um,
please.
so there's a psychological thing
Mm-hmm.
where in business, especially when you're dealing with your team internally and you need to make changes or
Mm-hmm.
an established client group, um, works with family too. Um, it's kind of that concept of like if you ask for questions, you're going to get questions. If you make it a big deal, it's going to be a big deal. And so there is such a thing as yes, taking into account what everyone wants, but then just if you're the one cooking, you're the one hosting, just make the changes.
Yeah.
It's that simple. Now you need to be prepared for a little bit of, bitching,
Pushback.
but that's okay. The other thing with that though too is so let's say the mashed potatoes, for example. Let's say someone is like, I really want mashed potatoes. You really don't want to make mashed potatoes. That's where you can do, which was, let's see, what episode? Two
Let
weeks
them
ago
help.
episode, let them help. Love that. Love mashed potatoes. Do you mind taking that on for me so I can focus on the other stuff? Now it's off your
Cool.
plate. Now you're letting someone help. And you didn't really want them anyway, so how they turn out really doesn't matter as much. Let that other person take care of it if they really want that thing that's
Right.
not there. Um,
Well, we
because
do that with cranberry. We do that with a cranberry.
Well, yeah, I mean, yeah, because I am a homemade cranberry sauce girly. My
Yep.
sister-in-law is a canned cranberry sauce girly. No problem. Grab your cranberry sauce, bring it to the table. I've got the perfect dish for it. We'll slice it up. Perfect.
Yep.
When she started making her cornbread casserole, which is chef's kiss,
Mm-hmm.
please add it to the table. Yes, love it. It's a new staple, and it still is now. It's become a staple in our
Right.
menu. So yeah, just I mean, you don't have to make things a big deal if you don't want them to be a big deal. If you want to make
Yeah.
changes, make them.
Yeah, absolutely. And I would much rather, I mean, we've talked about a turkey and then we used to have a ham.
Oh no, we're doing both.
Are we?
Yep.
I'd much rather do a roast.
That's Christmas. We're doing a turkey and a ham.
Okay, fine. God.
I'll make steak a couple days before and you can have the leftovers.
Okay, that's good. I like that better then. I don't usually eat that day anyway because I've been like grazing while I'm cooking for
Hmm.
3 days. So,
No,
but
it doesn't take us that long
2
anymore.
days. But by the
Yeah.
time I sit down, I'm like kind of hyped up. And so I eat my Thanksgiving meal like the day after. I sit down. That's my tradition is I make a plate and I sit down with everything heated up and I just enjoy it on that day, just nice and quiet and peaceful. Because I like to do that.
There you go. You didn't announce it, you just did it.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So I think, what we're trying to say here is that change is the one thing that you can absolutely count on, even when it comes to traditions. And it's okay to let old traditions go that feel more of a burden in order to welcome in new traditions.
Hmm.
Be inclusive to new family members or new people at the table. What's important to them? What can they bring to the table literally? And then integrate all of it so that you get to learn from each other. You get to understand why was this important to you or why is this important to you. You get to hear the stories about when they were growing up or things like that. So I think it's so important, the inclusion piece
Hmm.
versus the exclusion.
Hmm.
But don't feel like you're chained to something and you have to do things the same way because it's always been done the same way.
Hmm.
Because we would still be living like in caves if we didn't evolve. So this is about
Yeah,
evolution as well.
absolutely. And really tune into is that tradition still important to everybody?
Yeah.
Or is it coming from a place of guilt, obligation, habit? Tune into that and see what is maybe you do it before this year's holidays and you make some changes for this year's holidays, or pay attention during your holiday activities
Hmm.
this year and take notice of, I don't really love this part of the holidays. I don't really love this part. I really love this part.
Hmm.
Feel it out. I do
Yeah.
that when we go on vacations even. I'll be like, I'm realizing I don't enjoy this part of the vacation. Huh, interesting. Okay, go on with it.
What was the we went from what are you thankful for to didn't I stick
We
like
did
a
those little
question?
cards. We had little it was kind of like conversation starters, and
Yeah.
you put one under everyone's plate, and you just like randomly put them under everyone's plate.
Hmm.
And last year we went around and answered the little questions, and I remember mine was like, "What would you tell your younger self?"
Yeah.
What are you most? Someone did have, "What are you most grateful for?" Um, they were just conversation starters. They were just
I
open
thought that was
ended questions.
fun.
That was fun. I enjoyed that.
Yeah, we'll have to do that again.
Hmm.
That I'll do that again, and I'll have to mix up the cards so we don't get the same cards and use the back of the pile or
My answer
something.
will be the same every year if I do, but that's all right.
Well, I hope that we have given you all something to think about. We would love to hear from you about your traditions and maybe either what you're giving up, what you're changing, or a new tradition that you're adding. And definitely reach out if you want to talk. This is a stressful and tense time in the world, and everybody needs some space. So you can definitely book a call, mokshagrace.com, a compatibility call. We can talk there. I have the Facebook group that's free, but it is private. So that way, whatever you say within the group is, amongst our own selves and like minded people. And then we also have the Odonata community, which tonight is our our night to meet, and it is a group coaching call, and it is it's a monthly subscription, and so it's a good way to get in on coaching uh, at a lower cost. I'm trying to help as many people as I can, especially right now, and so I just want to do my part. So that is about me. Where can people find you, Krista?
Y'all can find me at wickedwisdomconsulting.com. I'm on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, all that good stuff, but wickedwisdomconsulting.com is the main hub for Krista.
And next week, we will be on Shockingly Delightful Monday at 12 o'clock.
Yep.
And what are we discussing Monday?
Monday, we'll be discussing give thanks for those at your table. And then next week, moment of presence will be laugh it off.
Laugh it off.
Mm-hmm.
I like it. All
Yeah.
right. Well, thank you for joining us, everybody. Don't forget to share, like, get notified when we go live. Thank you, as always, for being co host, Krista. And yeah, everyone have a wonderful day. And remember that you always get to choose what your day is going to be when you wake up. It can either be a good day or a bad day. Choose wisely and be thankful, be grateful. Join the thankful train, for God's sakes. See you later.